Hey guys, in this video we are going over QL exercises that can help with lower back pain. So what exactly does the QL do?
The QL stands for quadratus lumborum, coming from the Latin quadratus. It literally translates to square loin, which kind of makes sense if you look at the shape of it. Its primary role is to stabilize your pelvis and spine, so it's kind of a big deal. But it's also key in many functions that are often left untrained in standard gym routines. When one side contracts, it laterally flexes the vertebral column. When both sides contract, it extends the lumbar spine. Today we're going to focus on releasing an overactive QL, side bending, and some mild work on elevating the ilium. The aim of this video is to give you guys a toolbox for dealing with an overactive and tight QL. Just bear in mind to take it slow and listen to your body in order to avoid extreme DOMs which can feel like a tight QL.
What I'm going to show you first is how to use myofascial release to slightly lengthen your QL temporarily. Say lengthen, all that really means is your muscle is not going to be seized up anymore or tightening up unnaturally. Quite a lot of people with low back pain experience a muscle that spasms or seizes up too much and is overactive. So this is one of the ways to calm it down and stop it tightening up on its own.
So for this release drill, we're going to find where the spine is and go out by about a thumb width. You should be aiming for a point roughly between your ribs and your hips. To begin with, we're going to lay down with our feet on a wall or a box and slightly rock side to side. If you find this too intense, you can try the same drill but with your feet on the ground instead. If you want to make this drill harder, you can bring your foot up to the other knee and continue rocking side to side as you did before. To begin with, I would aim for 1 to 2 minutes of release work.
Now that we've done a bit of release work, we're going to move on to some dynamic flexibility drills.
So for the easiest drill we're going to grab onto a band, or you can actually grab onto a pole or something, and you're going to hinge back with your hips. From here we're going to have our arm overhead and we're going to straighten one leg and then the other as you're reaching overhead and wiggling side to side. Starting in a hip hinge position, we're going to bring the arm up and around while watching it as we straighten one of the legs. So for this next stretch, we are bringing the leg that is furthest away from the wall behind us and toward the wall. Once in this position, push your hip away from the wall and reach up and over. You can choose to hold this for a longer period of time, or you can go in and out as reps. Another version of this is a staggered stance arms overhead version, where one of your legs is behind you and you are turning away from that leg with your arms overhead. So here you can focus on laterally flexing the spine slowly, and you can also later on load this up as a form of gaining strength in this range. So these next few drills are going to be a bit more advanced. First, you need to get into a pigeon, and from here you want your hips to be nice and level with each other. So if you find this generally difficult, then probably this isn't quite time to do this drill yet. But once you get into a pigeon, you can then reach over side to side and then reach overhead. So in order to control this motion, your QL is taking control of everything that we're doing here. It's taking control of going to side to side, and it's taking control of coming up and down. So another fairly advanced one, we're going to start in a straddle and go elbow to elbow. Bring the elbows together and then as far apart as possible on one side, and then we're going to work on bringing the arm to the foot and then up and around behind us on the one side. Once we've done about 5 to 10 reps of each, we're going to switch sides and do exactly the same on the other side. An alternative from reaching up and around is actually reaching toward the foot and grabbing the foot. This should be a little bit harder. Once you can reach your foot, you can switch between both sides, going one side to the other, reaching for your foot. This should be quite a lot more difficult than the other drills.
So if you manage to do all of that or just some of it, and you're now at a stage where your QL is at a slightly lengthened state, then we can now work on strengthening your end range.
This is called a QL march, and you can do it with or without a weight. What you're basically doing is shifting your hips in order to walk forward, I suppose, and then you are also going to do the same motion to go back the way. So with this one, you're going to start with the top leg on the front and your shoulder about in line with the top arm when you are exactly side on. From here, you want to dip as far as you are comfortable and then come up as high as you can handle as well. The trick here is not to force the stretch or overstretch, so just go as far as you are comfortable to. So these next few drills are quite a lot more advanced. This is a rotate and then press windmill. I am using a plate, but you can use a dumbbell or a kettlebell. And I'll put a link into a windmill tutorial here so that you can watch the full tutorial. I just wanted to show an example of something that you could put in as an advanced drill that will both be dealing with rotation, shoulder stability, and your QL, because you're not going to be training just your QL on its own probably in the future. And this next one is a banded version of lateral flexion. So it's the same as what we did in the beginning, just now we're adding a band which is quite a lot more difficult. You can attach it to a kettlebell or simply to your foot, and just make sure not to use a band that is too strong. And so with this, it's a similar thing. We are in a straddle position. Using the band, we are going to go forward and to the side. This is the point where, as I'm coming back into the middle, this is actually the hardest part, for it not to just throw you back. You need to control it, so it's like you're doing an eccentric.
So just as a general note, this is just one muscle that I've covered that is a massive contributor to low back pain. There are also other areas that you need to look into, but if, say, you know for sure your QL bothers you, that area is often overactive, then hopefully some of these exercises will help. And if they do, then please subscribe and please do leave a comment.